This is the EGC 20k Age of Empires 4 tournament. We are here to witness the final 16 generals in battle, and a new war begins. Welcome! Je m'appelle Anuki. Pourquoi? Je ne sais pas. Today we have two generals fighting their way to the quarterfinals, which is the next step towards the big prize money. And with that kind of money, the Meister could go to Disneyland Paris. They're leading France today over in East Dry Arabia. But there's someone else who wants to go to Disneyland Paris. They are red with rage, commanding the forces of Western France. It's Villese, and it's Joust the Two of Us. That's right, expect French Royal Knights, as is tradition. They're going to be pumped out and smacking each other in the middle of the map, but who can pump horses faster? Who has wrists of steel and a thirst for juicy victory? Well, if you stand around and wait for about 30 minutes, you won't just have those answers, you'll have even more questions, because this is a best of 3. If you don't know what a best of 3 is, then that's kind of adorable. The rules are, if you win with a civilization, you cannot play them again. So, for example, whoever here wins as France will not be allowed to play France in the next match. It's as simple as that, at least for us spectators. But whilst our players build up and scout, they'll likely both want to scout each other's villages out, see where they are, try and knock each other's gold miners away from mining gold. Do you have the time to talk about the word of EGC? The Elite Gaming Channel is the host of the tournament, a fantastic collection of passionate organisms, at least beings that appear organic on the outside, and that's enough for me. They love Age of Empires 4, and if you'd like to check out more competitive Age of Empires 4 stuff, then check the video description for a link. Or if you're watching this on Twitch, there will be a link somewhere. Whether you just want to watch more events like this or get involved yourself, and if you're like me and you're really lazy, then don't even bother looking at the Ironcast Discord. Don't subscribe. Don't you dare lift a finger and touch that stupid bell button on YouTube. I hate it so much. I hate it probably more than you do. I've already taken the adverts off, so you don't even need to skip them or install an ad block. There's probably no point in telling you about the Future Civilization War event thing that I'm doing as well, where I need willing commanders to participate in, which you'll need to be in the Ironcast Discord for, so let's just get on with the program. It's France versus France, and you don't need telepathy to know who wins. It's obviously France. The School of Cavalries are under construction, both for the Meister and Villese. The Meister has scouted much of the map, a bit more of the map than what Villese has done so far. Locating resources on the map at this stage of the game whilst there's a chance to do it. Exploring any natural business opportunities on future obtainable discoveries. And I often think that people take scouting the enemy base too literally. But it's the resources that are the important thing to scout, because 10-20 minutes in, that gold mine that's the second or third furthest from your enemy's town center might have villages on it, and then you send a scout to the gold mine to check if it's being harvested. TheMista breezing past Vilese's gold mine, sees the villagers harvesting it, and in this matchup, gold is important. Royal Knights cost a lot of money. It's 100 gold, or 0.001 Bitcoin. And I'm sure somewhere along the line, EA has discussed creating an RTS where the units cost real money. And just like EA, our players will be addicted to gold. So addicted, they'll attack anyone else using gold in the hopes to wean each other off of their Royal Knight addiction so they can dose up on more Royal Knights themselves. It's a filthy, disgusting habit. But one thing I was taught in RTS games is that if the enemy finds what you're doing annoying, then you're doing something right. With both schools of cavalry almost complete for both generals, we can expect to see those knights shuffling their way down the dry Arabia. And whilst I see it, just some sheepy facts, by the way. You really want to stick those sheep inside your town center and space them out. Just means the villagers don't have to walk at all to hand in, and you can only have 8 villagers harvesting 1 animal. There's only enough room for 8 villagers around. And you also want to knock those sheep unconscious rather than having multiple villagers knock them out at the same time. Small time-saving things that likely don't change the outcome of the match, but it's, you know, it's all the little things. They do add up. TheMista stashes their knight near the goal, going to be playing the role of protector. Villese does see it, so maybe they won't attack here. They are sending their red knight over, though. Should be in range of the scouts, so TheMista sees its location. The lance broken on the scout, then Villese backs away. Probably best to break it on the scout there. The knights, well, in 4 to 6 nights' time, will have the chivalry upgrade and will begin to self-heal. The scout, though, they won't. And it feels like I'm at the races now. These horses should have numbers on the side of their barding. Both generals focusing on food and gold to either match or outdo each other on knights. No one's on stone, no second town center in sight. Is TheMista going to be happy sitting on defense? Because that seems to be the stance that they are taking at the moment. We've got ourselves a 2v2, almost 3v2, but let's talk strategy, because that's what I do as a strategy analyst. Typically, France versus France, we'll see both players attacking and defending. I have seen most of the success is from defending against France, and if you play England or Villese Dynasty or anyone else, you'll be forced into defending, and defending is where we see the most success. But what about France? What about France defending? Honestly, there is really nothing stopping France at bringing in spearmen. Spearmen are a great deterrent, and that word is chosen very carefully. We'll see French commanders go heavy on knights with less focus on their own economy because they are looking to damage their enemy's economy and use that healing of the knights like a regenerative army, an army that doesn't lose stamina. It doesn't fatigue, whilst your enemy only gets weaker with every hit. Every time a villager takes a lance charge, they'll be killed in the next raid or the one after that. But if you can defend successfully, building outposts to hide your villagers in, scaring off the enemy cavalry, and focus on building up your own economy. Get that second town center down so more villagers can hide inside that and you can safely collect resources. You can eventually push back a French opponent that has just focused exclusively on getting knights and doing what France wants to do at the moment and just keep sending in these knights to raid, and TheMista is matching those knights, knight for knight. Their defensive army will also regenerate, so defending with knights also means you'll likely outnumber the enemies. Since they have to travel across the map, you do not. So as long as you're always producing closer to home turf, you're gonna be in a superior position. As for spearmen though, spearmen are significantly cheaper and can negate the charge damage if you press S, the stop command, not the V command, which makes them or forces them to hold. If you issue the stop command, the spearmen will actually advance towards the cavalry, close in, make the distance smaller, and then brace for impact, stunning and negating the charge damage. It's kind of a difficult trick to do. Knights have it way easier, that's for sure. Villese is like an AI that's stuck. They can't harass the gold. TheMista is here. Interesting that TheMista is collecting deer with their scout. That's where some of their focus is, and it's not too hard for them just to stick their royal knights at the gold mine and just say, hey there. Oh, you can attack at my gold. Go ahead. I'm right here. Fight me. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wouldn't even dare. Oh my god, they're daring! Here they go! Not for long, though. One red knight hits the snowy dirt. And the Meister micros well, keeping all their Royal Knights alive. Sooner or later, though, Villese is going to get some of those Knights through. And here's something that I pose to you, the audience, because I was going to say, I'm surprised we haven't seen an outpost yet, but did you know for 150 wood, you can actually do a wooden wall that totally surrounds the gold and your mining camp? And then for an extra 25 wood, you can add a gate on there. And it's not actually uncommon to see 1, 2, or even 3 outposts on a gold mine to house the villagers inside and keep them snug and safe. And I just have to think to myself, it'd actually be very cost effective just to stick a wooden wall around it. No Royal Knights getting through there. More scouts grabbing some deer to take home and feed the Mister's army. There's also some Blue Knights moving around in the north. So the Mister might wait until Villese attacks again and then send in a small attack themselves, which might be more effective if Villese's response is delayed. So I'm seeing 10 Blue Knights on defense, 2 attacking for the Mister versus 8 Red Knights attacking, but there are 4 Red Knights defending, so the 2 are relatively equal. It's just a matter of where they are allocating their military power. A couple of Knights lost there for Villese. The 2 Knights the Mister sent didn't get anywhere close. Will they ride away with their lives? The Mister did lose 1 Knight in the extended team joust. Eventually, though, there's going to be a tipping point. Someone will either lose a lot of villagers, lose a lot of knights, or decide to jump off exclusively building knights and do something crazy like anything else. Another red knight is lost. The Villese, though, sees an opportunity to ride in and kill some villagers. Surely the gold miners wouldn't still be mining. This is extremely telegraphed. They're there. But they will back away. Now suddenly there's a lot of Blue Knights right behind you. Able to steer away from a devastating and collateral loss of life. And the Mister did manage to get a knight through. But it seems like they lost more than they gained. I see 1 dead villager for 1 knight. Not a great trade. And you can see the Villese seems to be kind of lacking ever so slightly in each of these battles. Losing 1 or 2 knights here and there is going to do that to you. The Mister is launching a big assault themselves, going out in force. Looks like we're going to lose 3 villagers on the deer. The Mister with 2 control groups. The second one will engage Villese's defense. There's a bloody wolf in there nibbling the legs. Are Villese's horses getting shorter? They don't want to fight the full might of the Mister's knights. We'll try to lose them through the trees, and the Mister doesn't have the patience to put up with the wolves. Going on from here, though, the Mister might leave the majority of their army around Villese's perimeter, maybe all of it. They've defended enough, they've tilted the scales, but by stationing such a large force around Villese's village, they'll be left open. The village, hidden in the Mister's territory, has no outposts, no walls, barely any guards. It'll be vulnerable once again. We might enter that scenario where both generals are attacking and defending with knights. The mill to the north of Villese's village getting lightly scorched. A couple of knights being chased away, trying to enter the village in the Mister. Production certainly picking up for the Mister. Fresh knights left to defend. Villese chasing the blue enemies away. Where are the other knights going? I'm surprised the Mister hasn't turned around to attack that. Maybe the red knights are branching off to try and attack the gold workers. It does look like they are heading that way. The Mister might have missed this. Probably another good argument for some towers in the stealth forest. That would quite easily see them coming. The scouts get in the way. A little bit of body blocking. You'd think it'd be faster to run if they left the gold behind, but TheMista won't allow that gold to touch the floor, not over your cold, dead villager body. TheMista rallies for a counter-attack, but there's like 2 villagers here. Jack and freaking Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of deer meat, and Jack was crushed under 20 horses, and Jill ran away mortally wounded from a sword to the back, but fortunately for her, the king had guards in the area. She signaled for help and got a one-night stay in the town center before having to head back out to work the next day. Is how I remember the nursery rhyme. Here we've got some tactics. The line formation from TheMista means they'll be able to get all of their knights attacking sooner on engagements. And TheMista discovers another mill. Will send a squadron to pillage it. That's a lot of villagers over there. Many of them will get away, some of them will die. But with cavalry, if you outnumber the enemy, it's worth pulling the flank, which isn't going to meet any enemy. Pull it behind the opposition and then slam into the back. It both ensures that you get every soldier in your army attacking as soon as possible, but also blocks their escape. And blocking their escape, which should be apparent here, is especially important in cavalry versus cavalry battles because the mobility is matched. So you have to figure out a way to stop your enemy being so mobile. Are we at the tipping point here? Villese might be looking for a way out, and I think honestly the only way to escape would be to try and send 1 or 2 knights away from the main group and then command queue them back to base. But that's micro-intensive. TheMista sent off a few of their own knights to go raid. There's still some scouts picking up some deer, and we are now in TheMista's village. Villese sees no other way than to fight this. Running into the village and around the knights. They get behind all of the gold workers. They're more interested in staying alive. Villese won't be able to compete in the game of who has the most royal knights. They'll have to figure out an alternative solution to stay in this game. All the while, TheMista harasses them in their own village. TheMista, now fully capable of performing an attack that outnumbers the enemy and a defense that outnumbers the enemy. Villese is moving the majority of their knights to the north, where TheMista has a smaller harassing force. That would be a victory for Villese, but I doubt TheMista is just gonna sit there and fight this one out. The lancers break on each other, and the order to disengage enacted. And actually, even if they did fight, it would be a costly victory for Villese. TheMista initiates a huge attack. Could this be the one that ends it? Villagers will lose access to all manner of goods and resources, and any stables won't be able to produce safely. Control in the region appears to be under TheMista's, and the laws they impose may as well be gods. Like an evil lord, TheMista says resistance is futile. And the white flag has been raised. Now's a good time for an outpost. Western France has been defeated. Victory is granted to TheMista. This was the first round of a best of 3. Tune in next time. The picks are already locked in. TheMista will be playing the Abyssid Dynasty against Vilese's France. And also come talk about this in the Ironcast Discord, link in the description. Now I've got to go make voice over it. My name's Anuki. See you in a few.